Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today's card has a single stamp out of the Grace's Garden bundle, just this little hello stamp, all these other awesome images I'm going to be using later, but I'm going to be using the Garden Gateway dies on this card here. This is a card where the dies are doing all the work. I'm going to be using the trellis here with the fence, and then the cutout here, and then some of these climbing vines, and some of these little flowers here. So let's get started here. Now I came up with this design here, measuring it, and I did a few different cuts until I found out exactly which way I wanted it. And I found that after I cut out my dies, a good focal measurement around the trellis would be 3 inches by 4 1/4, and then I bordered it with 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And don't worry about writing these down. On my blog post for this card, which will say Grace's Garden Bundle, Gateway Garden Dies, if you go in the search bar and look that up, this card will come up. All the measurements are there. Also, on the description on the YouTube video underneath, you will see a place where it says visit my blog, and just press that link and you'll go there for additional photos and other tips that I want you to remember if you didn't see it all in the video. And there's also, find in that YouTube description all the materials and the measurements as well. So you're looking at this card and you're seeing the designer paper, which is beautiful. This designer paper, Garden Lane, is in the annual catalog. Beautiful greens, every kind of, oh, so beautiful greens. Mint. I feel like there's some soft sea foam in there, and pear pizzazz, some old olive, some mossy meadow. All of the pieces of paper in this on one side have leaves, and then they have really great other geometric patterns on the other side. So this is a great paper to work with this trellis here. So I just chose this one here that had predominantly white in it, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this card using the same design. Another card, another paper, and I'm even going to give you a little sneak here. Look at this beautiful one I made. I used the bird ballad paper that's in the annual catalog, and then I used the leaves from the Free as a Bird stamp set. So this was another one that I used the same pattern, but just changed up a little bit on the card, because I thought that putting the flowers and the vines on here would just be too busy, and I really wanted the paper to pop there. So this design could be done with any type of designer paper that you have. So looking here, I made this a portraits card that is 11 inches by 4 1/4. So that's just a half of a sheet of your cardstock. So 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to score it at 5 1/2, and then that's going to give you your A2 size card that fits into the envelope. Now, the next thing I did is I cut a big generous piece of my designer paper, and it was 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then that's going to be going on the front here. But of course, if you know Cindy by now, we're going to use this underneath here. So what I did is I took this die here that's in the set, and it's just like a kind of like the inside of the trellis, and I put it right, we'll just pretend we're using our big shot here, just kind of center it in the middle of your designer paper, and then run it through your big shot. And then you're going to end up with, of course, the outside and then the inside that came out from this die here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put this designer paper onto our card. There it is, right up there. So we're just going to put some snail, and isn't this green paper on this? All the greens in here. I just love it. So we're just going to center it on here, and I'm using a white card this time because I just felt like the white was a really pretty, it really looked nice with, this is a little crooked here. I'm going to pull it up here again. You know how you put something down, then you look, and you're like, it's a little crooked. Might as well get it right while I'm making the video here. So sometimes when I'm having trouble with that, I will just try to go from another angle here. So there we go. I'm still getting it a little bit too much on the one side there. So hard to do when you're making a video. Okay, let's just try it this way. Okay. Nope. I'm going to take it up a little higher here. There. That's going to do. So now we have this background and we'll be able to see this beautiful designer paper on the side here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're not going to put this back in here yet because we're going to build up our trellis. Now what I did here is I just ran this trellis die through my Big Shot, and it has really nice embossed indentations on the card, so it really gives it like the wood-like appearance. So that's going to be going over here. But before we do all that, of course, we have some other borders here. So what I did is I took Pear Pizzazz, and this Pear Pizzazz, as I said, is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then I just put this piece of white, but because I was going to put on this card white on white, I embossed this with the Pinewood Planks 3D embossing folder. So that just made the white still have its own personality even though it's on white. So we're going to go ahead and put this panel down on our Pear Pizzazz. So when you're working with this particular paper, you can just play around and see which colors really work well together. Like on this other card, Garden Green and Mint Macaron jumped out at me. So on this one, the Pear Pizzazz. So now we have a nice embossed panel back there. And you know what? While we're at it, why don't we just adhere that to the card as well? We'll just pop that there in the middle. And it's not the Pear Pizzazz isn't a perfect match, but it is listed as one of the colors. So the next thing is going to be to put our inside of our trellis. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. And I love the fact that I was able to use the inside of that designer paper, so I feel like I'm not wasting anything. And we'll just put that there. Then I went to put this on, and it still looked really great because I had the texture there, but I really wanted to pop it up more. And my first inclination, because I cut out about 15 of these, is just to stack them on top of each other. And then I thought, why waste my really good thick Whisper White? So what I did is I just went to some of my scrap, and this is just the paper that comes in the back of your designer series paper. I never throw it away. And so what I did is I just die cut 2 more of those trellises, and of course they're thicker than even my thick Whisper White. And then what you're going to do is just turn them over, well actually one of them right now, and you're just going to put, and you know what, we don't want to mess up our pretty paper there, so in case I get any glue, it just goes on my silicone mat. If you don't want to have one of those, that's another great, like I think it's like $6. I don't think it's $8. It's like $6. Great, so you don't mess up your surfaces. So then we're just going to adhere this to the other die cut that I cut out. These are the 2 scrap die cuts that I cut out of the thicker. It's like a thin cardboard that's in the back, and it stabilizes our designer series paper in its package. So now you can see this has some depth to it. So then we're going to put our Whisper White. So then I'm just going to put a little more glue on here and pop that. Then just put our Whisper White, make sure all my little holes are cut out. And because we're working with glue, it's nice we have that little bit of wiggle room, and we just line it up. This lines up so easily. And there we go. We have this nice thick die cut that'll really pop off the card. You can just see how it's going to pop off there. So the next thing I did was I put glue also. Now Cindy, you move the craft mat out of the way and you start gluing on top of your pretty paper. I think the trying times are getting to me. I can't think straight. So here we go. I'm going to leave. No, actually, because I didn't leave it on the other side. So now we can take this, toss it aside, and we can put our trellis. And you'll notice on this card, you can see a little designer paper. On this one, I'm actually going to bring the trellis down so I don't. And this die cut that I cut out of the designer paper, it is got a little bit of wiggle room. So you can, if you don't have it perfectly in place, it's a little bigger than that opening. So you'll have no problem. So I want to get the same amount of, you can see it's wider than the opening, so that's nice. So I just want to get the same amount of white on the left and the right, and then put the trellis down. And the next thing I'm going to do on this card, on this one, look how pretty the garden green, garden green, garden green. So on this one, I chose to do some pear pizzazz. So I die cut a longer one and 2 of the smaller one. And then I'm just going to put these going up along the right side and then one off of where the sentiment is. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue on some of those leaves. And we're going to, we can just kind of tuck it a little underneath the fence there, and then just going up that side, and see how the green pops off of the white. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue also on these little leaves here, and just have it go right under there so it's kind of seems a little like seamless there. Just tuck it in there. There we go. We got some vines going there. And then I just used my So Sentimental dies, the Stitch So Sweetly dies that go with the So Sentimental bundle. And I just used this cute little stitch die there. And I just stamped hello from the stamp set, the massive amount of stamping that we're doing out of Grace's Garden. And we're going to pop it up with a dimensional that is right here at my hip. So we're going to put a dimensional right there. And then I just stuck that kind of in the middle where the gate opening would be. So there we go. And then I want to put another one of these vines over on this side. Kind of just give a little interest over there. A little bit of glue. Tuck it underneath there. There we go. And then we can put some pretty flowers on. Now I was looking at this and wondering which color I should bring the flowers in. I was going to bring in some mint, but then I didn't really, it wasn't really going for me that well. So what I did is I used white. So what I did to put those on is I used my glue dots. So I just pulled back and you can see a glue dot there. And I just popped my white flower on. Pop another one. And the nice thing about this die set, it has 4 of these flowers. So you can roll out 4 at a time and not have to keep, you know, rolling, rolling, rolling. You know how it goes with the Big Shot. So then another one. And then we can just take my Take Your Pick tool, use the paper piercing side, and then I just jazzed up, and I just love how the white looked on this one. I love the greens on this designer paper, but I really, really, really liked how the white, just, you know how white just really, so pretty. So I put 3 of them on that side, and then I put one down here by this other one. And then of course, I had to add a little prettiness to it as well. So I pulled out my pearls, moving my table around here, and I just pulled out some of the smaller pearls, and I put right in the middle of these white flowers since they have an opening on them. Stay in place. Get another pearl. Another one. I'm surprised sometimes literally surprised when I get a card from some girls I'm going to swap with how the pearls really, they protect them well with like a little, maybe a tissue or a piece of paper on top, and the pearls remarkably stay very nice. So there we go. We have another beautiful card made using that Garden Gateway trellis and the die cuts in there. Now on the inside of this one, of course, when you cut down this paper to 5 1/4, you have a little bit left over, which is perfect to put on the inside with another piece of the green just to dress it up there. And I left this one blank so I could customize it whenever I want to. But this one here, since it's a white inside, I'm still going to put this in here, but I'm just going to put it down along the edge and just still give it some visual appeal there. And I'll just pop that down in the bottom so that I have an equal part on the left and the right and the bottom. And then it just gives you some prettiness on the inside. And I am going to stamp the inside of this one. I'm going to pull out my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to use, I just decided I'm going to use, of all the blossoms in life's garden, friendship is the most fragrant. And I think that goes great with that hello. And I can think of some people that would be wonderfully deserving of getting this card because they're awesome. So we're just inking that up with Pear Pizzazz. Get that ink pad out of the way. Luckily, this is a photopolymer, so I can see, and hopefully it's straight. So we're just gonna make sure it gets good contact with the paper, and there you go. The inside is done. So 2 simple stamps, but the die cuts did all the work. Plus, I think that this beautiful Garden Lane paper really jazzed up this card as well. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call or a text, 724-323-2296, or you can email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com. I'm always super excited when I open up an email or I get a text with a picture of a card you guys made. So this is super simple to make using the Grace's Garden bundle, specifically the Garden Gateway dies. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.